What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your second stimulus check update. And we have some very good news from House Speaker and leader of the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, regarding the second stimulus check and the second stimulus package. She just gave an interview. I want to show you it. I want to show you the important details. And then we're going to talk about what this actually means for us going forward with the second stimulus check and the unemployment extension update. Let's go. But first, don't forget to like this video down below, and if you're new here, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new videos regarding the second stimulus check, the election, and related news.
The president has to realize that the words of the president of the United States weigh a ton. And in our political dialogue, to inject fear tactics into it, especially a woman governor and her family, is so irresponsible. And in all fairness to people who listen to him, people think the president is important and what he says should be adhered to. And so we have this horrible situation. But the people have awakened to him. 26 million people already voting. The biggest antidote to his poison is the vote.
A lot of Americans are hurting, as you know, as well, Madam Speaker. I know you've been negotiating with the White House over a possible economic relief package, and you spoke with Secretary Mnuchin last night.
Yes.
Any closer to reaching a deal?
Well, we're seeking clarity because actually, with all due respect to some of the people in the president's administration, they're not legislators. So when they said we're accepting the language on testing, for example, and we're just making a light touch. They said they changed shall to may, requirements to recommendations, a plan to a strategy, not a strategic plan. They took out 55% of the language that we had there for testing and tracing. And the tracing part is so important because communities of color have been disproportionately affected by this.
So real quick, that kind of shows you what the Democrats' position is in these negotiations. I know Nancy Pelosi has received a lot of criticism from this, and somewhat rightfully so. But this kind of shows you what they're thinking is that they have all this wording to eliminate or I should say, crush the virus. Say it with me, crush the virus. She wants to crush the virus, so they have these very specific wordings that they want to do this, they want to have a plan, they want to, do this. And the White House has changed the wording to, well, we may do this, we want to do this. And that doesn't, when that's written in a bill that you could do this or you should do this, that doesn't mean you have to. Okay? So that at least shows you the Democratic positions. But we have some very good news coming from her. Let's get back into it.
So on this subject where we have agreement, we don't have agreement in the language yet, but I'm hopeful. And here's the big difference. Communities of color have more deaths than the white population. Let's just think of this. If you are a child, a Hispanic child has 8 times more chance of going to the hospital with COVID than a white child. A black child, 5 times more chance of going to the hospital than that. That's because we have not addressed the problem. The testing, the tracing, the treatment, the mask wearing, the separation, the sanitation, and all that goes with it. So again, hopefully we can learn from each other and they understand. And let me just say this. We had pages and pages of how you would do this in the minority community. They crossed it all out. Instead, they put this sentence. Contact tracing will be paid for by the federal government as part of the $75 billion. Okay, we agree with that. But given state difference, each state shall establish a strategy that is appropriate to its circumstances. CDC can provide guidance to the states on elements. Can, no, must. But in addition to that, we have to have a national plan. You cannot leave it up to the states.
So if you don't,
how they're going to address the minority community.
If you don't get that agreement, if you don't get that agreement in the 48-hour deadline you said, what happens?
Well, here's the thing. The 48 only relates to if we want to get it done before the election, which we do.
Well, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, so which we do. But
so what she's saying right there is she's actually giving the White House a 48-hour deadline to get back to her and give her the wording or the correct wording or the wording that they need to make a deal in this portion of the bill. She's giving them a 48-hour deadline so that they can get this deal done before the election. And this goes with exactly what I've been saying over the last 24 hours is that there's now talk, and it makes sense, that Nancy Pelosi might need to push this through before the election. Because after the election, she might not be Speaker of the House anymore. They could lose the majority. She could not get reelected. The president could not get reelected. And even if he does get reelected, he might not be as eager to push through stimulus. He's desperate to push through stimulus right now because he thinks it'll help him, in the election. Nancy Pelosi thinks it'll help him in the election too, but there's now talk that if she does it right before the election, like literally a few days before the election, that it won't be enough time for people to change their mind, change their vote on President Trump. She said already 26 million people have already voted. So she's saying she's given them a 48-hour deadline to get this wording back to them and get an agreement on that portion of the bill so they can get a deal done before the election.
If you don't get that agreement in the 48-hour deadline, you said, what happens?
Well, here's the thing. The 48 only relates to if we want to get it done before the election, which we do.
Well, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, so which we do. But we're saying to them, we have to freeze the design on some of these things. Are we going with it or not? And what is the language? I'm optimistic because, again, we've been back and forth on all of this. You know legislation. Shall is different from may. And the difference amounts to this. If you think of it this simple way, when you say may, you're giving the president a slush fund. He may do this, he may grant, he may withhold. When you say shall, according to the the science tell us must happen. And if we test and trace and treat, mask, separate, ventilate, sanitize, and all the rest of that, we can open our schools.
But
we
Madam
can
Speaker,
open our businesses.
Even if you reach a deal with the White House, somewhere around $1.82 trillion, Leader McConnell has said he's not going to put something like that on the floor of the Senate. So what happens?
And this is really important. This is the other piece of the puzzle, is getting it passed through the Senate and having Mitch McConnell endorse it and put it through to a vote.
McConnell has said he's not going to put something like that on the floor of the Senate. So what happens?
Well, he said a number of things. And one of the things that he said, I think it was yesterday, but it was reported yesterday, that is if the White House and the House come to an agreement, that he would put it on the floor. That is among his many statements. But most of the time he spends laughing, pushing the pause button.
So again, that's very important stuff right there, and it's actually very good news. She's saying that he said that if the White House and Nancy Pelosi come to an agreement and they pass it through the House, that he will put it on the floor. So he did say this in the last 24 hours. So this is good news. This is new news, because at first he was saying he wasn't going to put it on the floor. Then he was saying that he was going to only be willing to go up to $1.8 trillion. And now he's saying that if they come to an agreement, the White House and Nancy Pelosi, and they pass it in the House, that then he will put it through on the floor. That's like the best, that and Nancy Pelosi's news that she's trying to get it through before the election is about as good of news as we could have at this point, besides saying, hey, the checks are done, the checks are agreed on, but you have to go through this process to get the checks agreed on. It just doesn't happen magically. They have to agree on these things, then they put it to a vote, then the checks go out.
Pushing the pause button, telling states to go bankrupt, laughing when in his debate, did you see that? When Amy McGrath was saying to him, what are you doing about stopping the spread of the virus, et cetera? He laughed. He laughed. This is not funny. The president didn't take it seriously. McConnell has not taken it seriously. But we can stop this if we follow the science and be ready for a vaccine, which I hope will be soon.
You haven't spoken to the president in over a year. Are you willing to pick up the phone to close a deal, to get this done?
Look, let me just say this, because I keep getting that question. It isn't about the president. He sends his representative. President Bush sent his representative. President Obama sent their representative. Professionals who know something about the policy. This is not unusual. However, I have a great deal of respect for the office I hold, Speaker of the House, and I have a great deal of respect for the position that he holds, President of the United States. This is not a casual conversation This is about a meeting of the head of the first branch of government, the legislative branch, and the president. If there is a purpose, if there is a stipulation of trying to get something done, then perhaps we take this to that place when we can't solve other problems. But many of you have spent many times calculating how many times the president has misrepresented the facts, how many times the president has told me and told Chuck Schumer that, yes, we're going to do this for Dreamers, or told bipartisan, bicameral representatives in the Congress, yes, we're going to do this on immigration, told us, yes, we're going to do this on infrastructure, but then he doesn't. So again, you want to meet with him, you meet with him. But as far as I'm concerned, the Speaker of the House must be respected in terms of what the purpose of the meeting is, what the preparation is for it, and what the likely outcome of success would be.
Bottom line, Madam Speaker, are Americans going to get relief before Election Day?
Well, that depends on the administration. The fact is that we cannot, the heart of the matter is to stop the spread of the virus.
So we have a very good news there. Nancy Pelosi is giving the White House a 48-hour deadline to basically get this wording back on the virus part of their agreement, which is one of the last few parts of the agreement that they need to actually agree to, because she wants to get this done before the election, which is just over 14 days, just over 2 weeks now at this point. And Mitch McConnell will support it if the White House supports it, and he will put it to a vote. And remember, they only need 25% of Senate Republicans to vote for this. So we have two very good sets of news there. I mean, that's pretty, if you've been following along, that's pretty much the best news we can have, besides, yes, we have an agreement and they're voting on it tomorrow. They have to work out all these, the wording and the actual agreement part before they actually get the agreement. So it seems like we're getting very close. Nancy Pelosi says she wants to pass this before the election. Okay, let me give you the next clue for what's in the box. Also, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe down below if you haven't yet. This way you won't miss out on new videos coming out. In the box, if you can guess what's in this box, you could receive $125 from me from all the people that guess correctly. We're going to randomly pick 2 people to give $125 to, for a total of $250 for our 250,000 subscribers that we just passed. Or you could receive my course on how to sell products on Amazon. Okay, today's clue is, which is number 12. The next clue will be the last one. So tonight at 8 p.m. will be our last clue, and we will be announcing the winners in tomorrow morning's video at 10 a.m. Clue number 12 is, I can go foul if not taken care of. One more time, I can go afoul if not taken care of. If you think you know what's in the box, leave it down, comment down below and let us know what you think is in the box. Let me know if you think you already have it correct. If you've already guessed correctly, let me know down below what you think. And over here, I'll link my video about how to sell products on Amazon and my course and how all that works. You can watch that next. Or you can click on these top videos to watch my newest stimulus check videos next. Click on one of those and you can watch them next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.